as we come down the Ullman Straight. Yes, he is much closer.
Very, very close behind, under 0.2 of a second. That's going to come down to under 1/10 of a second if he decides to go for the move. He's going to think about it. A little bit of a Pruitt fade there from Krasowski as they go down into sunset.
Doesn't completely cover it off, though, and Fujita is through. He is our new leader coming off the final turn, but I don't know that he can hold it because Krasowski gets a great launch off the corner. He goes off to the right-hand side as Kazuki once again defends behind them. Olivier giving watch, and he's going to take advantage of it. He's going to try and poke his nose through to take second place off the hands of Daniel. It's not done yet. It carries on down into 3.
It keeps going here. Olivier trying to be later on the binders, and he's going to shut the door. That is Dominic Olivier up into P2. Krasowski demoted in 3 corners, 2 positions. Abner Acosta worked in on the high lane there on Josh Daniels to see if he's got anything. They're going to come out of the corner. Noah's Ark here, 2x2, and a big checkup. But here comes Josh Daniels thinking about making this 3 wide.
3 wide, and he absolutely sends it in deep. O'Brien tries to as well, but it's the high line that counts for the 28. No, it doesn't. It bites him. He falls backwards. Now the 77 back forward. And look at this. We didn't even account for Acosta. Acosta stuck through all of them, and he is going to manage to get up to 3rd potentially here. Sending it deep into 1. He's got it. Coming down into Sunset Bend, he's going to have to go around the outside. Pavolano, we've seen his defense before. He knows how to do this, but can he do it against Kwok? No, maybe not, because Kwok carries speed and just finds a gap around the outside. That'll give him the inside coming into turn 1. The job isn't completely done. He could maybe see an over-under from Michael as he takes it wide into the first turn.
Yeah, I think you're right. Looking as we set up, trying to come through here, we're on board with Raymond Day, looking around, trying to find a way to get through these guys, taking a look as they both defend deep onto the inside, holding enough ground to not make contact with the power down, and just making it around number 87, Peter Newhook. Oh, little contact there too. Little contact.
Little bit of contact, a little bit of off track there for Raymond Day, but he's able to keep everything gathered up back under him. But he's going to be a little bit compromised here as he tries to get by Peter Newhook going down into Verth. They are really trying to hold on to this here, working their way, and they're still side by side.
Oh, Raymond Day doing the best he can in a disadvantaged line, trying to come down into here. Look at that, just getting his nose ahead, holding on to that position on the outside.
Here comes Andy.
Seems to like that exit of that corner. The car handles it well. Aggressive defensive move from Gernot Frisha, almost pushing him off into the grass, but he's given just enough space and a lot of wheel spin there from Frisha. Unfortunately, that puts him slow out of the horseshoe side by side. Coming up in an NASCAR bend, Mikko Lino trying to do it the hard way around, and he's got it. Michael Johnson's win at Hockenheim has not only broken a long-standing wait for his second solo victory, it's netted him the points lead in the championship. But 2 rounds are not much to go by, and Brown and Layton are still clearly the fastest drivers currently. Will the home of British motorsports see Layton become our 3rd different winner? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. After Germany, it's now the UK's turn to host the POC. Let's head to our track guide to see what Silverstone has in store. Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 3 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 18 turns along 3.19 miles. That comes out to 5.13 kilometers in metrics, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the high-speed straights and corners and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is most definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. However, don't discount the first couple corners in this latest iteration of the track. Abbey and Farm often require a greatly balanced car and some serious bravery if you're side by side. Corners such as Village, Brooklyn, Stowe, and Vale see the majority of overtaking action, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the draft to offer other opportunities. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting. Well, DJ, from Germany here to the UK, this is going to be a fun one. It's another modern Grand Prix track with quite a few challenges.
It most certainly is, and the most historic of those challenges are the Maggots-Beckett's Chapel sequence. Such a tricky area to be able to get right, but absolutely crucial to get a good run off of Chapel if you want to have a chance to overtake going down the Hangar Straight and into Stowe Corner. From there on out, a couple other good overtaking opportunities, getting a good run out of the loop and out of Aintree down into Brooklands. We've seen some good passing there, and then you've also seen a pass or two into the fiddly bit section of Village and the Loop. But overall, this is really a circuit that rewards bravery, Joe. The more tenacity you can show on here, the better off you are going to be. Although be wary of going too wide through cops, as we know just exactly what can happen if that happens.
Yeah, and we've even seen it unfold, unfortunately, on the channel, not just on Real World Racing. But before we get to the racing out on the track, a reminder of our sponsors includes, naturally, Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com, as well as Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Take a glance over at the championship points. As I mentioned, Michael Johnson now leading. It's not by a huge margin, though. Travis Brown, Corey Latvala, still not too far back and in a very close fight for second place. Tom Layton didn't have the best of results in the second round, though, as I mentioned, he's quite quick. Expect him to bounce back, and the drop weeks will probably help him later on. But Matthew Hollander up here in the top 5 with good consistency so far this season and almost ahead of Layton on the points. What about today's race? What do we have in store for us, DJ?
Well, Joe, as you said, it is the third of a whopping 25 rounds for the Porsche Owners Club. All drivers are going to be out driving in the same class in those Porsche 911 GT3R machines. It is a 30-minute race with an open setup, but drivers are very generous with their setups. You'll see a lot of swapping around with that. And drivers are currently out on track right now for a 30-minute qualifying session to start our order.
Well, Tom Layton right now holds the provisional pole in that qualifying session, and Michael Ost is about a tenth of a second behind, so it's pretty darn close out there. Travis Brown is only, let's see, 15 thousandths behind Michael Ost, too, along with Lotville, less than a tenth behind Brown. And then Michael Johnson, off of his recent win, is sitting in fifth with about 4 tenths up to the top spot. So it is nary a hair between most of our drivers up at the pointy end of the field as we watch Travis Brown come out of Luffield.
Yeah, and that's one of those tricky areas. Luffield's such a difficult corner, multiple lines you can take through there, but no matter how you take it, you have got to exhibit a lot of patience getting back on the throttle, especially in these Porsches. You get on the throttle too early, you can spin the wheels, the tail will slide out a little bit, and you will be in a world of hurt.
I think Travis is on an outlap. Yeah, he's on an outlap here, but he's pulling a toe from Leighton in front of him, who's just coming through the Beckett sequence as well. There you see Tom in the 97 onto the hangar straight. Well, he's got a pretty good toe himself. That's Ting Wan, newcomer here. He's going to pull off to the side, let him through, and Alex Valencia, the next one in front of him, probably just giving a whiff of that toe. So let's see if that's going to be enough for Tom to extend the gap over all of his rivals.
Well, he's certainly going to want to hope to. It's not too much of a gap right now. Only 1/10 of a second between himself and Michael Ost. Ost, who is not on track right now, opting not to go for anything out here. So he's just kind of sitting back and waiting. Let's see as Tom Leighton comes across the line. That was not an improvement. He was a little off. He is going to take a toe back into the pits and try it all over again.
Brown continues on to see if he can go ahead of Ost or Leighton with this lap now that he's on a flyer, but he's got a little bit of trouble in front of him. That's Valencia, who's trying to stay out of the way, but just becoming a bit of a block in the process. Well, that is definitely going to slow up Brown and hurt this lap. He's still got time to get back around, but it's not many laps that he's going to have. In fact, he's parking it appears. So he is going to have to come back around once again to get an outlap going. And as I was about to say, it takes a while to get around here. So that's an extra lap wasted there for Travis.
Yeah, for sure, Joe. It takes about 2 minutes to get around here. Even in these relatively quick GT3 Porsches, we're seeing the fastest times being set down at a 1:59.3, but about the average throughout the field is about a 2:01 or so. We've heard some drivers maybe tickling down a little bit lower than that, but we'll have to see if the draft helps that out at all.
Watching Jad Duncan here in 9th position, just hovering around improvement for his lap. Himself, Beckner, Jacob Abrams, all 8th, 9th, and 10th right now are looking very close on potentially improving, but Duncan is going to be the first of those three to cross the line as he comes up to Stowe. And it's just about a 10th over right now. So unless he finds some improvement in this last little braking zone into the chicane, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to jump up from this 9th spot. A little bit wide at the apex. Now swings it back and across the line here out of club. Is this going to be quicker? A 2.8 it is. He improves, but it's not enough to get him past 9th place.
No, he's still about 0.16 of a second off there, so he'll have to put in a little bit more to make it work. Very, very close at the top, Joe. This top 7 separated only by 1.3 seconds, and it is only 2 seconds between the top 14. So some very, very close runnings around here.
And Duncan just spun and parked it, so he's back in pit lane unless he takes off now. Yep, he's only going to get 1 lap here. So that is Duncan effectively out. In fact, he's left his pit box. So it looks like unless he's changing his setup, he might be done. In the meantime, coming down to the chicane, Jacob Abrams, another one that's very close on potentially improving. He's behind Jad Duncan, 10th place. Can he get to the inside of this 5th row, maybe onto row 4, crosses the line? No, that lap was not counted for him, so he'll have to cycle back around.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about the off tracks around here, Joe. Once again, it's a lot of running wide rather than cutting corners. Specifically at the exit of Cops is a big one. You can also pick up some pretty easy off tracks on the exit of Stowe or on Club. Stowe really being the only one where you've got a potential to cut the corner, but that is if you are super pushing hard. We're right on board with the nose here of Travis Brown. This exit right off of the loop, that's an area you can do it as well, but the grass right there will catch you out before an off-track penalty will.
Corey Lotvola is out there trying to see if he can catch up to Travis Brown, the man who lost out to him on the championship last season. As we ride on board with Brown here, Lotvola's up by about 3/10, so there's a good shot that the 22 could find his way onto the front row. He only has to make up about a 10th.
He doesn't have a whole lot to do here, and Lotvola setting a green first sector there on that lap, so looking very, very promising. Good line there coming out of Stowe. Perfect amount of curb. That's about as picture perfect of a line as you could take.
Yeah, he's 2/10 off the pole time, so with things being so close up there at the top, he might not just be looking for third, might not just be looking for second, but maybe first, but he doesn't improve. Lost time in the final part of the lap.
Oh, and that's a little bit of a heartbreak there to have that happen to him like that. Very, very difficult situation to be in. Travis Brown, though, he set a personal best time through Sector 3. Let's see what he's like in Sector 4. That was a 23.4 for him. So a little bit slower than Michael Ost ahead of him, but just a hair faster than Tom Layton's time on the last lap. So he may be up here.
And in fact, Layton looks like he might be on a pretty good lap too. He's up by about a 10th. We'll go to him once we see Brown cross the line. And that should happen just about now. This one was a 59.297. That was quicker, and it's not pole, but it is the front row.
Good job there for Travis Brown. He will be very, very happy with that to be able to hold on to it. Layton here starting a new lap to see if he can do anything better. He's not starting a new lap. That's the old pit lane sequence, and that always catches me out, as there's one of the problems coming through Cops. That car getting very tail happy.
Indeed, he parks it, and Lotvola was right with him at that time as we check in on the 22. I'm not sure if he's going to be quicker. It's once again going to be extremely close. Now, Ost is his next marker to aim for at about 0.111 of a second to try and go faster. And I think he's going to get there just in time to start another one if this isn't good enough. Seeing if anybody else is on a good lap in front of him. Looks like nobody really, so this is the one to watch just within the track boundaries as he swings off of Stowe down into the braking, hovering at about a 10th quicker for the 22. Can he get ahead of Ost? Can he catch Travis Brown here and give him a good shot? No, he goes wide, and that will hurt both laps. He's done.
Yeah, and he caught the curbing there on the inside of the club chicane. That's what threw him out, Joe, and that is going to ruin his chances from here on out. So a very, very disappointing run there for him.
Not seen many drivers who are improving at this stage. Baccignone is maybe one potentially. And I think we were watching Ost there for a second. Here is Doug in the Kermit Green car, as it's been dubbed at times. The 59 still has half a lap to go, though.
Still has half a lap to go as he gets his way around. Good line there out of Cops, taking just the right amount of curbs. And now here comes the tricky section. You've got to absolutely fling this car into maggots and then slowly start to bleed off speed and put on the brakes by the time you get to Beckett's, and then immediately get back down on the power. You want to be full power here. Take a little bit of that inside curbing out of Chapel and let the car run to what it feels natural to try to maximize down the hanger straight.
It's still looking pretty good, half a second up. And the 59 could crack into the top 10 here as long as he is safe through these last few corners. Only has less than a 10th to try and catch Jacob Abrams ahead of him on the timing sheets, down into the braking for the final chicane. Let's see if this holds up. He's still 3/10 up, lost a little bit of time, but it's looking good. Is he clean off the corner? I think he was. It's a 2-flat-5, and that will actually launch him into 7th. Great end to the qualifying lap.
A brilliant run to end that out for Doug Boccignoni. It looks like Tom Layton here just testing out some limits. I think he will be able to get that last lap in, and the other one I'm seeing is Alex Valencia.
I see Layton on an outlap, though, here, so I think this is kind of a moot point for him. Yes, as he crosses the line, looks like Valencia runs across and does not improve, and he will be our last driver to come across the line. That means our grid is now set for today. Tom Layton has managed to grab another pole, but can he finally put that into his first victory of the season? Travis Brown will try to deny him once again, starting from 2nd. Michael Ost, P3 for him, with Corey Latvala starting in 4th place. Last round's winner rather. Michael Johnson starts from 5th, and Matthew Sipek will be in 6th. Then you've got Doug Boccignoni, great last gasp to get into 7th. Sam Mayorga will be in 8th as Andrew Beckner starts 9th, and Jad Duncan rounds out your top 10.
It's going to be Jacob Abrams starting off in 11th, followed by BJ Fulton, with Michael Roban and Paul Newton behind them. Mark Rondeau will be to the inside of row 8, followed by Jerry Freckleton, with Matt Hollander and Michael Bolton in row 9. John Momeyer will be 19th, and rounding out your top 20, it's Jeffrey Shulam.
21st goes to Adam Fulton. Dong Nguyen will be 22nd. Then it's Alex Valencia, 23rd. Ting Nguyen will be in 24th. After that, it's AJ Lettieri, 25th. Last driver to set a time was Larry Haas in 26th position. Jason Hill and Aaron Edwards did not set a time. I do not see them in the session, so it looks like a 26-car field that will join us today.
Indeed, in a rolling start here in this Porsche Owners Club Series, drivers are going to have to be very careful if they're starting in the back. They'll more than likely get the green flag as they're coming through the final parts of club. So you've got to be very, very careful not to spin those rear tires.
So a lot of concern from drivers before we came live here about the track limits, about the fact that they've got an incident limit here. Every 17, or the first 17 will get them a drive-through penalty, and then every 5 after that, that's very small, will get them a drive-through until if they hit 34, double the original will actually disqualify them. Good news is if they somehow manage to find the wall in all of that, they do have some spare cars waiting for them in the pit lane. It looks like we're getting ready to take off here under this beautiful evening sky in the UK for round 3, DJ. We've had a fun start to the season. Let's see if that carries on.
I certainly think it will. Temperatures pretty perfect out here. 78 degrees track temperature. A decent amount of wind, though. 13 miles an hour coming out of the southwest. Drivers going to have to watch out for that, as it could buffet the cars a little bit coming through the corners. 54% humidity, which means that the track will probably stay around the temperature that it is. And there'll be a little bit more air to cut through as these cars generate downforce.
If I'm seeing correctly, no, he is out there. My timing and scoring is lying to me. I thought John Momeyer maybe was not out on the grid. Looks like he did make it. And it's a very short pace lap for this track. They started on the hangar straight, and the pace car already ducking into the pit entry. So now Tom Layton has control of the field, waiting to lead them out of these last few corners. He could try and catch them by surprise through here pretty easily. He's electing not to, though, giving it plenty of time as they come out of club. Travis Brown waiting to his outside, and the green flag is out, and it's a pretty good start for 3rd place there. Back there, Corey Latvala launches forward. Could he maybe take the lead? No. He holds station in 2nd as someone else is diving in, and we got a wreck in the background. Oh, a big wreck as BJ Fulton winds up on his lid.
I'm seeing Michael Bolton, Shulam, Hollander, Beckner, a lot of drivers taken out by that. That's the drivers taken out by that. That's the 277 on your screen. And we've got a full course caution as a result of that incident.
A rare thing here in this series, but if they get too big of a mess, they do throw it from time to time. A few drivers, now just getting the message and getting it checked up. That'll give us some time to try and look at that. This started in the middle of the pack, I want to say. I think Ting Nguyen was in the thick of it. I'm trying to find who it started with, though. No, it was not with him. What was that? Looks like... I think that starts with Matt Hollander, actually.
All right, well, this is John Momeyer on your screen. There you can see some of the cars already flipping. Momeyer able to get through it easily. That's got to be a scary view for him. This is Hollander. Oh, looks like just a little bit of a pinch there down to the inside, and that threw everybody around.
He was very brave on the brakes, but a little too brave. Beckner was the first one he made contact with, and then Michael Raban found himself getting collected, and I think he thankfully managed to squeak through most of the rest of it. This is a good view from above. You can see Raban just kind of escaping off to the right-hand side in that blue car and then upside down. Unfortunately, our orange car, BJ Fulton, well, eventually flips back on his wheels. But I got to think he needs a spare car after that.
Yeah, I do as well. But thankfully, with the yellow being thrown, he'll be able to pop in and out of the pits without losing a lap to get that spare car. So it's a little bit of a thankful situation there for BJ, although he is down 12 positions from his starting spot right now.
No such luck for Michael Bolton and Jeffrey Shulam. They had to take a tow. And where is Leighton? Leighton's just coming around now. So unless they pop out right this second, they are going to find themselves going a lap down. And boy, there's a lot of damage there. Is that Hollander trying to creep back? Yeah, that's Hollander who's crabbing the car. And unfortunately, costing a bit of time for guys like Fulton, Beckner, Lethierry, who are not allowed to pass him here. And thankfully for them, Hollander is coming into pit lane.
Yeah, and that's the real concern with that, is there you see Fulton also coming down in, is iRacing will administer a penalty even if the car is severely damaged like that if you attempt to pass under yellow. And so they have to stay in a slow speed behind him despite the massive damage to that 69. But it looks like they're able to catch back up. Drivers who are coming down pit lane, it looks like only Hollander and Fulton, but as you mentioned earlier, Bolton and Shulam both towing back into the pits.
Ooh, a little bit of an accordion, and I think some contact in there. Double checking on that. Michael Johnson nearly got into the back of Michael Ost. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think he did get into him, unfortunately. And then there was almost contact between Bacignone and Sipek as well.
So a scruffy start here to the Porsche Owners Club race at Silverstone, but we saw some very good scrapping, and I got to think Corey Lockvilla is going to be very happy to have another crack at the apple there. He could have made a move going down into turn one, but just shows discretion is the better part of valor, I think, for that move. But he's certainly going to be threatening to the back of Tom Leighton.
No doubt about that. What a start there for the 22. And he's going to get another chance here soon, but I think we got another lap and a half, so I think we still have to cycle around. Lights are still on, so it's definitely not going green this time by, and they will not have any cars to wave by, thankfully. There's no such thing as a lucky dog in this series, and there's nobody trapped between the leader and the pace car, so this should be pretty straightforward. Everybody just has to stay patient now, wait for the pace car to finish its deal, and then we'll get to go racing once again.
Now, the one catch out of all of this is, as I mentioned, the track temperatures are a little bit on the chilly side, about 77 degrees Fahrenheit. That's fallen a little bit since the start of the race. And so drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful here to make sure their tires are completely up to temperature. They're going to want to be dragging the brakes a little bit, maybe doing a little bit of weaving, braking on and accelerating to keep tire temperature built in. Because of the way that this circuit flows, going through Abbey and Farm Curve, that's going to put a lot of lateral load through those tires, and if they're not properly up to temperature, you could really see the rear end start to slide away from them.
Interesting thing to note as well, this is a relatively short race, 30 minutes long, very much a sprint. and 2 minutes just to get around at speed, they're going to lose a lot of time to try and make up positions, especially if you're one of those drivers that maybe didn't get caught up getting damage in the incident, but just slowed down and losing spots trying to stay out of trouble at the start. So I wonder if we're going to see yet more chaos at the restart as guys are anxious to try and make up for the loss.
I think it's a very real possibility, Joe. The one thing that could be preventing against that is they're not doing a NASCAR-style restart. It will be single file, so drivers will probably be spaced out a little bit more. As a result of that, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Tom Layton get on the throttle a little bit earlier coming through like that, as we see Sam Mayorga setting a fastest lap of the race with a 3-minute 45.8, courtesy of the pace car. But he will be able to pick his line. He's not going to be compromised at all by having Travis Brown to his outside. And so he may be able to get on the power a little bit earlier, feel more aggressive with the restart.
Yeah, lights are out. Okay, so thankfully it is a pretty short caution out here. Going to get restarted, what, about, let's see, what was the last lap for these drivers? A 350, so we're looking at maybe less than 20 minutes left to go when we get back around to the green flag. So gonna have to hustle, and thankfully they won't run out of sunlight here. It's not that late in the day. It's just about 5:30 p.m. virtual standard time here, set in May at Silverstone. So should have plenty of daylight left, even though it is a bit cloudy out.
Yeah, indeed. We're not going to have to worry about that. The only thing that the clouds are going to come into play is maybe reducing that track temperature just a little bit more, 71 degrees ambient. So if the clouds continue to hover over as they are, could drop it down. That wind dying down a little bit, and that'll be good news to the drivers, especially coming through corners like Love Field.
And no doubt, not wanting any more of a tail-happy car than possible. And going to come by the old pits, the old front stretch here. And so about halfway through the lap already for these cars. And everybody is back out on the track, I can report, so good news there. Bad news is that for Michael Bolton and Jeffrey Schulem, they are a lap down. Everybody else managed to stay on the lead lap. Matt Hollander got back out in time and got his spare car, but he's going to be starting from 24th and is going to have more work to do than he had earlier on the first restart. Well, first start, I should call it. And we come up to the Maggots and Beckett sequence, so getting ever closer to seeing the racing resume here.
And this is where drivers are really going to be working those brake pedals. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a fair amount of weaving out of some drivers here on the hanger straight, just trying to keep as much temperature in as possible. But with the way these Porsches are splayed, it's not necessarily as important to have as much tire temperature in the front wheels as it is the rear wheels. You do not want them breaking away at all.
Well, and again, just like the first start, it's going to happen on a bit of an awkward corner for the restarts. I've always thought it a bit strange how they have the final corners positioned in this new layout, newish layout here at Silverstone. And it makes it tough to try and gauge if you are not the leader. It certainly gives the advantage to those at P1 on these restarts. So the 97 of Tom Layton currently holds that track advantage, but he's got Corey Lotfella behind him. He's got Travis Brown in there. Michael Ost still sitting pretty. And then our current championship leader, Michael Johnson, rounding out our top five. Pace car is in. Control being given to the 97. Where does he go this time? Does he wait once again, or is he going to go early? Looks like he's gone early this time. And indeed, Tom Layton is off like a shot. Green flag is out. And he manages to leave Corey Lotfella behind, so no such luck for the 22, trying to gain multiple positions this time down into Abbey. This looks a little bit cleaner.
Indeed, it does. A little bit of a wide run there and back. I wasn't sure if that was Sidepick or Sam Majorca. Constantina and down now into Village as they come around looking for it. Ooh, that's a little bit of a look to the inside there on Sam Majorca trying to get on Jacob Abrams.
Yeah, looks like other than a few side-by-side racing, this was a very calm start compared to before. Tom Layton leading Latvala down into Brooklands. Think we had AJ Lettieri with a little bit of a spin at the back. Otherwise, everybody rolling out of the infield. But look at Latvala, very strong through the slower corners.
Yeah, he's really got that car working well through the slow corners. And we've got a car off in the back. I believe that's Dung Nguyen. And it was something we were talking with about the drivers earlier this week, is just the different setups that they were running. This is really a track where you can try to trim it out. Oh, my goodness, that was Doug Boccioni with a huge off through Copse.
Thankfully did not hit the wall. Didn't have any help on it either. Gave Sipek a scare, I'm sure, as he nearly saw that car spin directly in front of him, but thankfully went off to the side. But here we go. Ooh, this is looking like a good run for Latvala. He's hungry, and he's hungry early as he approaches down the hangar straight. No, it was not a good enough run.
Well, and what we were just talking about there, Joe, in terms of Latvala's car handling a little bit better through the slower corners, I was keeping an eye on the top speed comparison there. It looked like that Tom Layton, despite being out front and not having the benefit of the draft, was just a little bit faster than Corey Latvala. So that tells me that Layton is trimmed out and Latvala is running a higher downforce setup.
So far, a 5th and a 2nd place this season for Latvala. Let's see if he can do one better on the podium this time. Last time he was helped out by the incidents up in front. Heavy braking. Shows his nose around the outside of Layton, but can't quite get it. I see a problem for Freckleton down the order. We'll try and check on that in a bit. And there, yeah, he's having to come back onto the track. Not sure what caused that.
Not sure either. Let's see here. Keeping an eye again on those speeds. And indeed, Tom Layton continuing to be faster in a straight line. That 97 very, very trimmed out. That means it's going to be a hard job here for Corey Latvala to try to get up on by.
He's going to have to use every trick in the book on this one or hope for a mistake out of Tom Layton. Last time it wasn't a mistake that cost Tom. It was simply sheer dumb luck that unfortunately a lapped car got tangled up with himself and Travis Brown. So I'm sure he's going to be keenly watching if they do actually manage to lap anybody. A much longer lap here, and they wasted some time with everybody bunched back up together under caution, so a lot less likely that they will catch them. Down through Maggots and Beckett's, Latvala falls back a little bit.
Yeah, he does, and then he's probably going to fall back a little bit more here on the long hanger straight, but they are both leaving Travis Brown in the dust. That gap growing upwards to about 9/10 of a second.
Unfortunately had a penalty for Ting Nguyen. He had a meatball flag shown to him, which means he is forced to come in for repairs. So he took a tow. Must have been a pretty big incident. We'll try and check on that in a bit. These two starting to pull away a little bit here. Travis Brown starting to seem like he can't hang.
No, he's still got the gap under about a second, but it's not a whole lot, as now it expands out to a second. Travis Brown definitely losing some time here, just not able to do it. He is going to hope that the two up ahead of him really start to battle it out, because that will allow him to pull on in.
It's looking like they might, because we saw fastest lap went to Latvala that time. This time he wasn't able to get side by side, but he tries to get the throttle down coming out of the loop. And this is a pretty good one as he starts to pick up speed in the tow coming up the Wellington straight. His downforce unfortunately scuppers him, and he just can't keep up the speed.
He is going to have to send in a massive move here when Tom Layton least expects it. Look for a move maybe going through Luffield. I think maybe even, dare I say it, going into Maggots and Beckett's. He is just going to have to be aggressive where Layton least expects it.
Yeah, it looked like Layton was making himself vulnerable there, but I think he's trying to use his strengths to his advantage as we get Molmeyer off the course now. He's been having a bit of a struggle adapting to this GT3 machinery, But after coming over from the Caymans, seems like he is just a little bit out of sorts. Meanwhile, Latvala back in his element through the twisty bits in the Maggots and Beckett sequence. But it's going to switch back to Tom Layton coming off the corner. 0.3 of a second. That's got to be too wide between them.
Yeah, it is. And a little bit of defensive driving there from Tom Layton, trying to break that draft as much as possible. Just sort of moving into the middle of the track and then moving over to the preferred racing line. He caught a little bit of that inside curbing. That sent him a little bit sideways.
This could be a good shot for Latvala. Does he get aggressive here down into the braking? No, not quite. He sticks with it, though. And coming down through the weaving of Abbey and Farm might be a great chance. That's where the downforce could help him, even though it's high speed. Up ahead, Layton just starts to pull away a little bit. I don't think this is enough. Will we see Latvala send it in deep? He does, but he still can't get the overlap.
No, he's just looking for it here. He may try to look for a little bit of a crossover there coming out of the loop. He's able to keep this very close behind, and he's doing exactly what he needs to do. If he doesn't have the outright pace advantage over the 97 of Tom Layton, he is just filling the rear view mirrors of that car and trying to see if he can force a mistake out of the leader.
This has been sucking up much of our time, but I will say that Mayorga and Duncan back in 8th have been having a titanic battle of their own. You can see that Duncan playing the role of Latvala here just can't seem to keep up with him down the straights. Let's see if he finds something tricky as he wants to cut underneath. Both of them squaring off that long 180-degree turn, and Mayorga stays ahead in 8th for now.
Yeah, he's been able to do a really good job to hold it off. No cut course penalty, by the way, for cutting across like that. That is completely legal here around Silverstone. Mayorga just trying to hold off Chad Duncan as they come through Cops. You can see Duncan closing in behind that gap, coming down under 0.2 of a second as they get ready for Maggots and Beckett's.
This is starting to feel a bit like deja vu between these two. Oh, wide at the first apex there for Duncan. That puts him completely offline for the rest of the sequence, and you can visibly see how much of a detriment that is to that bright yellow 83.
Exactly, Joe. That's one of the things that makes Maggots and Beckett such a hard sequence of corners. If you are a millimeter or two off going into Maggots, it will completely throw you off all the way until you break here for Stowe. Oh, very wide. I think Chad Duncan just overdriving the car here a little bit out of frustration, and that's going to allow for Paul Newton to think about coming in behind.
Still no slowdown penalty despite going so wide there. And I'm sure he is grateful for that. We're not missing anything up at the front. Layton, or Latvala rather, did get within about 0.2 for a while, but it's been the same old story. He gets close and then he stretches away.
And Newton here looking to threaten a little bit. He's about 0.5 of a second behind Chad Duncan. Duncan, remember, who really established himself as a premier qualifier in that GT4 class last year. Doing a good job now on the defense here. He's going to hope to just be able to take this corner flat out. That's Aintree, able to do it a little bit of a wider run there for Paul Newton.
And as close as he is, that's not close enough. He definitely reels him in, though. So he's keeping that 83 honest for the time being. And I wonder if we could jump back to Latvala, because he's still hounding Tom Layton here up at the front of the field. And they've gapped Travis Brown to up to 1.7 seconds. So they are just making sure that this is mano a mano up at the pointy end.
Yeah, they are. Brown has a little bit to worry about with him behind, with Michael Oates just holding on close behind that, but nothing too big right here. Ooh, great run here for Corey Latvala.
This is what he's been waiting for. Now he definitely has enough speed, but oh, look, he's not even as close as he is. He's not able to use that toe to try and attack, so he's going to go around the outside, trying to break deeper, cutting back underneath, but that's going to give the inside down into the chicane to Tom Layton. Can he do it here this time? No, breaks a little bit earlier. Shallow line, another chance to maybe pull the over under, but it's not there as he parks it on the apex.
Tries to go wide again, collects a little bit of that exit sausage curbing. That's going to cost him about a 0.5 of a second. And indeed, the gap back up to 0.3. Some great attacking there from Corey Lockville, but some even better defense from Tom Layton.
Oh, but he had a bad run through Abbey, and now he can't defend the inside. Lockville has got his foot in the door. Can he actually step through this time? He sends it in deep, and he is now to the lead. Looks like Layton's going to try and fight back once again as this switches back and forth slowly through the loop. No, he can't do it. Better speed for Tom Layton. Will he be able to just ease on by down the Wellington Straight?
Well, but here's the question with that lower downforce from Tom Layton. He's going to try to fight back a little bit. They go down here now into Brooklands. They're going to be side by side. It's a battle of the late breakers. Layton tries to get it, but now the inside line's going to favor Corey Lockville.
Almost had it back. Tom Layton, though, is showing that this is going to be a hard defense for Corey Lockville. So much better speed down the long straights, and this is a pretty decent run down to Cops. It's not the longest one. Could we see a repeat of the real world? No, a lift from Layton. He is not willing to risk it.
I think that's a smart move from Layton if he is indeed running some lower downforce, doesn't want to chuck it in there. He knows he's going to have opportunities on the straights. Now he's just got to try to drive it through Maggots and Beckett's, minimize that aero wash. And if you're Corey Lockville, this is where you are absolutely putting the pedal to the metal.
He's trying to pull away as far as he can go. 0.4 of a second. This will be a good marker. It's just Layton have that much more speed behind them weaving. Brown is also trying to defend from Oast as well, and it's just enough that Tom Layton can't get within range.
All right, so Corey Lockville doing exactly what he needs to do here. That was some very, very gutsy overtaking, but a brilliant move for him. I got a feeling that this battle isn't near over yet.
Don't think so at all. A little slip up out of Corey could offer a good chance for the 22. Any wheel spin off of a slow corner is going to hurt him badly. Down through Abbey, and look at how much more speed he's able to take compared to the 97.
And that's just that downforce coming into play. He was so compromised before because of the aero wash. And look at this. That's Travis Brown now being able to catch up a little bit on the back of Tom Layton.
Oast following with him, and Michael Johnson. It's becoming a bit of a 5-car train for the lead. Lockville weaves down the Wellington Straight, and I think he's far enough ahead. Layton doesn't have an answer this time.
He doesn't, but Layton looked like he took a little bit of an earlier apex there. I'm not sure if that's just his preferred line or if he's trying to fill the mirrors a little bit more. He diamonds off Luffield slightly more, trying to carry some speed at corner exit to maybe set up a run here. He's a little far back right now to the tune of about 0.4 of a second, but he is gaining down the old pit straight.
I think you're right. I think this is not over, but if they keep battling like that, Brown and Oast are surely going to be involved. Johnson's slipping back a little bit. Not sure if he's got the pace to try and catch them. Coming in to the Maggots Beckett sequence. This is how close Layton needs to be, but can he keep this close? The car loses a little bit of time down through here. Lockville is just chucking it in. Oh no, this is looking good for Tom.
Yes, it is a lot of overspeed there to the tune of about 5 miles an hour. He's going to have a little bit of a look to the outside, but Lockville going to cover that off. Now Layton tried to go down to the inside, but once again, Corey Lockville just positioning that car exactly where he needs to.
We are down to under 6 minutes left to go for these drivers. And it's been an incredible fight for the lead. Uh-oh, here we go. Layton gets a good run out of club. Lockville knows it. Goes to cover the inside coming up to Abbey. Do they dare go too wide through Abbey? No, a big lift out of Layton. And here comes Travis Brown. He could have a shot maybe to steal second place here. Does he dare? No.
No, a little bit squirrely under braking, though, and that is allowed for Michael Oast to catch back in behind him. So where one driver makes a mistake, it's just a domino effect back down through the field. That's John Momeyer, looks like off again.
Oh, he had a big hit. He got run into by Matt Hollander, and that turned him up and on his lid temporarily, so that might be day over from Momeyer, unless he's got a spare car that he can get before this is said and done. Meanwhile, 4-car fight for the lead. Lockville leads Layton, leads Brown, leads Oast.
And again, a big diamond there for Tom Layton, trying to maximize speed at corner exit, but he has got to be careful with Travis Brown as close as he is behind. I think he may be able to poke his nose up in there at some point. Now we come down through Cops. This should be relatively flat out for Corey Lottville if he's running that higher downforce setup. Runs a little bit wide there on corner exit, but that's Ost running very, very wide.
He's got to be careful. That can be a slowdown penalty if he carries that too far out. And he does indeed have a slowdown penalty. This is gonna hurt for Michael Ost. I suspect he might lose touch with those front runners. Oh, and Lottville has one. Lottville has a slowdown. That's our leader. He's got to feed that back at some point. I'm not sure when, but if he doesn't soon, he's gonna have to come into pit lane to serve it. And now he pulls off to the side. There goes Layton through. Our new leader once again. Pole sitter is back to the front. Brown tries to take second place away, but he's not close enough.
No, he's not. Good, respectful driving there from Corey Lottville. He gave him just enough space at the apex, but I think Travis Brown may have a little bit of a look. He runs a little bit wide on the exit of Club there, but now Lottville is starting to pull away. He's got 9/10 of a second and only 3.5 minutes to try to gain it in.
Ost also lost fourth place. Michael Johnson moves his way up to that spot. This might be too little too late unless we get a mistake out of Layton. Lottville has got a bit of work to do. We saw how hard it was for him to pass the first time. I don't know if he's got enough in him for another.
I don't know if he does either, Joe. He may have worn up those tires a little bit. He's just got to try to absolutely go for broke here and really push that car and worry about Travis Brown coming up behind him.
Down into the braking for Brooklands once again. Nobody close enough there. Michael Johnson's lost touch. He's got to work on keeping Ost behind him. And now Brown, who probably wants a repeat for the championship, is right on the back bumper of the 22.
Right up behind him here, seeing if there's anything. It looked like Lottville got a little bit squirrely coming through Lovefield there, and that allowed for Brown to catch up a little bit more. Now, if Travis Brown wants a good run here, he's got to nail Maggots and Beckett's. As I believe, Joe, if my numbers are right, they'll be coming to the white flag here.
I think you're correct. Yeah, 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds left. They have got to take the white flag next time by. Just not enough time for any more than that. And down the hanger straight, the distance between Layton and Lottville is 1.2 seconds. Travis Brown, is he quick enough to maybe demote his old rival? Not this time into Stowe, although he gains a lot under braking and continues to threaten.
Continues to threaten there. You saw him poke his nose just a little bit to see if there was anything doing there. Now he's going to try to keep the power down, work his way around to the best of his abilities here. They come out of Club for the final time. That was the defense there between Michael Johnson and Michael Ost. But there is your leader taking the white flag, Tom Layton.
Yeah, Ost on a big attack to see if he can get that fourth spot away from Johnson. Looks like he's not as quick, though, down through Abbey. And starts to fall back. That's the number 4 that potentially could snatch that away from him, too.
Yes, it is. There is all to play for here on this white flag lap. It is absolutely coming to pieces here for these drivers. They have got to try to push as hard as they can.
Battle for second, way behind Layton now, but Lottville manages to keep Travis from getting too good of a run. Looks like Johnson the same. He holds back Ost and Sipek. Now down through the slow Luffields and to the second half of the lap. Will they stay as they are? Will anybody make a critical error like we saw before with the slowdown penalties?
We'll have to see. It's all going to come down to cops here. Let's see if the drivers are able to keep this neat and tidy. Coming through is Lottville. That looks good for both he and Brown.
Not seeing anybody going too wide through there, but there's still 1 or 2 more where they could abuse the track limits too much. They got to keep it nice and steady. Looks like Lottville is on it. He's got it down to 0.8 of a second, but again, there's just not enough time in it for him as the clock now ticks down to 0. Layton knows this is his best chance to finally get that win. First 2 snatched from him. Brown took the first strike at Suzuka, then unfortunately wrecked out by lap traffic at Hockenheim. As they come to England, Tom Layton with one more corner to go out of club finally takes a win. The rookie breaks that duck here at Silverstone.
Following closely behind, it's Corey Lotfula and Travis Brown, and then Michael W. Johnson fending off a last-minute attack from Michael Ost down into club, able to come home P4. A little bit of a love tap there, just some good bumping among friends.
Abrams with a quiet 7th, and it looks like, we got a battle between Freckleton and Fulton, BJ Fulton here for the 13th position. That is Freckleton in the white, green, and black. BJ Fulton tries to cut back underneath. This might get him the spot. It's going to be close down into the line as they come across, and it looks like Freckleton holds him back.
Holds him back, but just barely. That was 0.09 of a second between those two drivers.
Mighty close. Momeyer and Lethierry are still fighting as well for 20th. Last couple spots on the lead lap, and it's a great run for AJ. Down to the inside. Looks like Momeyer just lacking pace here. No, he's going to fight back. Comes around the outside and still manages to fend him off. Much better run down into the chicane, unless AJ chucks it in. He's going to try it, but he is not going to be able to get side by side. And it looks like Momeyer will keep the 20th spot. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in enduro series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Silverstone. Round 3 in the Porsche Owners Club Series sees a newcomer finally get his first win. Tom Layton, who we immediately noticed here in this season, has put himself on the top spot at the checkered flag from pole, but he had to fight for it as Corey Lotfula was his main rival out there today. Great start from 4th to launch himself up to the battle for the lead. Still a good second place and more points for the 22. Travis Brown rounds out the podium from 3rd as Michael Johnson had to hold off a string of cars at the end to get 4th place. Michael Ost just behind him at the line to get 5th. Matthew Sipek was in P6 where he started. Jacob Abrams up 4 spots for his 7th as Jad Duncan finishes in 8th. Sam Mayorga was 9th behind him after they had some good fighting there. And then 10th went to Paul Newton.
In 11th, it was Michael Robon, followed by Doug Boccignoni, with Jerry Freckleton holding on to 13th and BJ Fulton behind him in 14th. 15th was Mark Rondeau, followed by Andrew Beckner with Adam Fulton, and your biggest mover on the day, Larry Haas, up 8 positions to come home in 18th. John Momeyer was able to hold off that last lap attack for him. AJ Lethierry, who rounds out your top 20.
Alex Valencia was 21st. Dung Nguyen was in 22nd, last one on the lead lap. Matt Hollander, not sure what happened, but he came to a halt just before the line and finished 23rd. Jeffrey Shulam was P24, followed by Michael Bolton, 25th, and Ting Guan in 26 of our 26 starters. I believe we've got Tom Layton ready to talk to us after that impressive battle out on the track. Tom, what a fight out there. It looked like you had the car a little bit trimmed out. Was that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I did a practice race earlier and I was stuck behind Corey for the whole 30 minutes because I was running too much wing. So I made it about as low as I could comfortably go, and it was a bit of a handful, but I would catch Corey on the straights for the time I was behind him, and he would catch me in the corners, and it made it really interesting.
Well, it's made it interesting for us, to say the least, as well. And we've seen you very close to this win in the first 2 rounds. Now you finally managed to get it. Is this something where we're going to see a flood of them after this, or is it still going to be hard to try and hold guys like Corey and Travis back?
Hey, it's I've got really good competition here, but I've got to be confident in myself, right? So we'll see. Let's hope,
Yeah, that's the only way you can be. You got to have an optimistic attitude about things. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this first win?
Just thank Young Win and FR Sport for introducing me to the league. And yeah.
We're glad he introduced you as well, as that was our victor today, Tom Layton, in the 97. Up next, I believe DJ's caught up with Corey Lotfula, who fought him almost the whole way.
Corey, an amazing battle there between you and Tom Layton, scuppered by that slowdown. I don't mean to rub salt in the wounds, but that's got to hurt a little bit.
Oh man, that was probably one of the most fun I've ever had in a race before with Tom. He's one fast driver, and you can't make a mistake really. And then I got that black flag, and I was just like, oh man, I try to bleed it off as fast as possible just to get rid of it. And thankfully Travis didn't go down the inside right there, because he probably would have had me. But yeah.
Well, we were kind of speculating on the broadcast. It looked like you were running a little bit higher of a downforce setup. Is that right?
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. I ran a pretty low downforce setup in practice with him, and I ended up beating him in practice. And so I think he went back to the drawing board, changed it, and we made the opposite switches. It's hilarious. I put more wing, he put less, so that's how it came out.
Well, do you like driving that a little bit more with a little bit more of the stability, or do you like it to be a little bit more on edge? Do you have a preference?
In practice, he was way faster than me in the corners. He just could not get around me because I was so fast down the straight. But I prefer being faster in the corners. I think it helps out a little bit more.
Well, it clearly helped you hold on to this second place today. Anybody you want to thank?
Yes, all my friends and family that are watching. I hope they really enjoyed that one. I'm sweating. And I want to thank Dave from Schmidt Racing and you guys for putting this on in the POC. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. That was Corey Lotfula, your second place finisher. And now Joe Peak, you have caught up with our third place finisher, Travis Brown.
Indeed, and at times Travis got tantalizingly close to that fight. I'm sure you were watching them saying, please, please keep fighting like that, no?
Absolutely, yeah. No, those guys were on another level tonight with their pace. I was honestly surprised in qualifying. I put it up there on P2. That was my personal best ever. But Tom and Corey have both been consistently faster all week. So I was happy to just stay in the draft and try and wait for something to try and mix it up. But those guys were too clean. And it was a fun race to watch for me too.
Well, and not only that, but you, Ost, Johnson, were all kind of tight together. Did you have to watch your mirrors at all?
A little bit, yeah. Ost was definitely faster through the back half of the track. His setup was a little more, I don't know, he's just more comfortable through the high downforce section than me. But he was gaining a tenth or two every back half, and then I'd pull it right back in the front half. So at one point he got right up on my bumper, like he was a tenth behind. So I definitely had my attention then. But no, it was fun racing. It's the competitiveness. I mean, everybody's pretty equal. It's going to be a great season.
Yeah, it certainly looks like Tom is going to make this a real fight for the crown that I'm sure you're eager to try and repeat so far. Do you think you can maybe turn things around when we head off to Road Atlanta and put one over on them?
Yeah, I think so. Silverstone's not usually like my best track by any means. So I don't know. This is the first season I've raced with Tom, so I don't know if he's just this fast at every track or what, but I've got some better ones coming up for me. So yeah, it's a long season, it's all about consistency. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll keep an eye out for it on that. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's podium?
Yeah, I gotta give my wife a shout out. She's been, super encouraging with everything, and actually had my pedals broke on me on a Thursday night. The load cell busted, and I was like, "Oh no, we got to race!" And trying to get like a warranty claim or anything like that. So my wife is all for it, and got a nice pedal upgrade with some in stock down the road here. Got some Heisenfeld Ultimate Plus, so. Gotta thank her for understanding the hobby and still, having a smile about it.
That sounds like a keeper to me. Well, that was Travis Brown, third place here today. Even though it was one step down, sounds like the spirits are high for the 300 driver. Let's close it out, though, today, of course, with some thanks to our sponsors before we take off, starting with Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store as well. That's at gsrc.storeenvy.com, and there's a link in the description below. Don't forget, while you're down there, to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, the next one out will be at Road Atlanta. However, we got a little bit of break. There's some holidays in the way for the next round, so stick around for Monday, February 21st at 11 p.m. Eastern when we head back for round 4. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.